So, instead of our news headlines today, we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about Global 24. I figure, since this is a shortwave broadcast, let's talk about a fellow shortwave station, that being Global 24. Now, if you're a shortwave listener, or an SWL, as some say, if you're a shortwave listener, you know what Global 24 is. If you're listening online or just tuning in via the shortwaves for the first and second or 15th time, that's fine too. I'll explain to you what Global 24 is. So that's what we're going to discuss for this segment here. Global 24 is the name of a shortwave station. Or rather, it was a shortwave station which emerged in late October of 2014. And they don't have their own transmitters. They lease airtime on WRMI. That's a shortwave station out of Florida, Okeechobee, Florida, to be exact. And Global 24 bought airtime on one of their 100 kilowatt transmitters 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, indefinitely, hence the name Global 24. The word global because it was supposed to be a powerful transmitter, and their signal would span the globe. Now, Global 24 is a great idea. It was a beautiful idea on paper. How was the execution? There's a perfect word that describes what Global 24 is, but it involves profanity, so I'm not going to repeat it on the air. But we'll say that Global 24, a more accurate name for it might be Global Failure. Now, Global 24, I'm going to tell you, the idea of the station was good on paper. Excellent on paper, to be honest. You have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, powerful international shortwave station broadcasting to Europe, or being heard in Europe, Africa, South America, Asia, North America, of course, the USA, etc. And it would be broadcasting non-relentless shortwave programming, which some might say is very scarce, especially in North America. They would have international relays of broadcasters, such as Radio France International, and all programs are in English. Radio France International, Deutsche Welle, KBS World Radio, Radio Japan, Radio Prague, Radio Sweden, Radio Cairo, as well as some DX programs and SWL programs, such as Glenn Hauser's World of Radio, Wavescan by Adventist World Radio, so forth, and some music programs mixed in, like the Rock File, which is a show which encompasses rock hits throughout the ages. And it's a great idea. Great on paper. Great collection of programs. And they launched the station, but immediately it started running into some troubles and some difficulties all around. It did. Unfortunately. The first few weeks were good. Correspondence between the station management and the listening audience was great. There were 4 program repeats and very few issues with the station itself. But that all started going south, even in mid-November. Soon many realized that the operations of a 24-hour shortwave station may be more difficult than some would hope. And then many began to wonder, did the people of Global 24 really know what they were getting themselves into? Soon, when channels were on sale, all listenership in Europe was depleted due to the antenna changes. They said they changed antennas to improve daytime reception in North America. Daytime reception in North America did not exist. Signal was only audible at the nighttime hours. Still, though, some programs were decent. I remember listening to Radio Japan right after the VORW programs, switch over to 9395 for full-time lessons. And, when I heard that they were closing down, I knew they ran out of money and had other management issues. But after I did some research, I found a few things that, it makes me divided. Maybe part of me feels bad for it. It was a great idea. Probably someone with a good idea for shortwave broadcasting decided to try to start something. But at the same time, I read how they had something called an insiders club. We get all these bonuses and these newsletters and special QSL cards and stuff. You paid $50 to get in. A few people did. This one individual, most well-known, goes by the name on various shortwave sites as Broadwin, and this individual paid $50 to join the insider club to help support the station in hopes of getting newsletters, and I think they promised a free mug as well. What did he get in return? Absolutely nothing. And the station then closed down, and he got $50. So the fact that they stole his money for the most part. But then I read this. There's an article here. Or I guess this. By Keith Perrin. And Mr. Keith Perrin is the owner of the international shortwave station, PCJ Radio International, which is actually a client of Global 24. And I'll read this to you. It's long, but it's worth the read. I'll read this to you all, and maybe this will change our view of Global 24 from sympathy to a more questioning mood after we see this. The report begins. One thing that I found strange from the start is how secretive it all was. Back in October 2014, there was lots of noise. But then, by the middle of November, a couple of weeks after they launched, things started to go wrong. There were so many questions and very little answers. They claimed 17,000 email subscribers. 17,000 for a station that no one heard of since late last year that is using one frequency. At the beginning, you may remember 9395 kHz was running a 100 kilowatt and had good coverage. Europe, in the early morning, and other places, depending on time of day. Then it stopped. The excuse was changing antenna patterns. Well, yes and no. The reality is that they started overloading to WRMI, and that they had their power lowered. So in the Caribbean, the signal was good, but nowhere else. Then there was the issue of the program schedule. Remember the news from the EU News Network? That's the European News Network. It won't last long. Running 100 kilowatts 24/7 would be like running 100 air conditioners 24/7. If we go by the current rates for a week at a time, before discounts on the announcer side, let's assume 100 kilowatts is $100 an hour. That's $74,400 in a month of 31 days. So in a year, that would be over $870,000. How can a commercial shortwave broadcaster make anything near that amount when you're targeting a region where listenership of shortwave is not popular? That is when you compare regions like Africa, Southeast Asia, East Asia, parts of Latin America, where shortwave is still very viable. The address they have listed for Global 24 Radio, 2719 Hollywood Boulevard, B16, Hollywood, Florida, 33020. After checking this out, there's an office rental space called HDG Executive Suite. It's also a virtual office. There is no Global 24 Radio located at this address. Perhaps at the beginning, when I called someone, the person did answer the phone. But the last time I checked, the phone number for Global 24 Radio is being forwarded to someone's mobile telephone. Phil Workman is listed as the general manager for Global 24 Radio. Why does he have the same email pattern as Jeff Demers? With the internet, it's very easy to check into someone. I have not been able to find any evidence of Phil Workman or Jeff Demers working in radio. There is a LinkedIn profile for Jeff Demers. It has him listed as the Director of Sales and Marketing at Global 24 Radio, LLC. Other experience is listed: Jeffrey Demers Consultation, LLC, 2009 to present; Wakefly, 2008 to 2014; Third Age Incorporated, 2008 to 2009; Massachusetts School of Law, 2004 to 2008. All his work centers around internet marketing, no radio experience. Now, you would think if Phil Workman was a real person, there would be some information about him somewhere. I've still not found anything. If someone does, let me know. I've kept all my interactions with Demers. In over 25 years of being on this crazy outlet called radio, not once have I came across anyone who was questioned and then turned to profanity. Remember the daily mailbag show that they were going to do? Well, that was not daily. I managed to download lots of files from their FTP before WRMI switched it off, including their first part. Something I noticed in the first few seconds was how poorly it was produced. It sounds as if someone recorded it on their kitchen table, either using a mic built in a laptop, or using a microphone bought at Walmart. We're currently working on a special report for Media Network Plus, but I'm afraid we'll have more questions than answers, and listeners will have to draw their own conclusions. The latest now is that they are returning March 15th, 2015, with a 30-minute weekly program. From 0030 on 11580 kHz, targeting North America, Europe, and the Middle East, and at 0200 hours UTC on 9955 kHz, targeting the Caribbean and Latin America. This is confirmed from Jeff White at WRMI. 3 minutes, maybe a name change, Global 30 Weekly Radio. And that's a report from Keith Perron of PCJ Radio International. Thanks for listening. This is our little special program on Global 24 and its demise. Now some music.
I wish you would step back from that land, my friend.